Oh, hello, hello. Super excited to share this training with you today, which is all about OKRs. Uh, what are OKRs? Basically, OKRs stand for objectives and key results. And essentially, in a nutshell, they're a really, really powerful and intentional and simple goal setting method. Because you've probably heard a few of the different goal setting, styles and approaches out there, like the SMART acronym, which is setting specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound goals. And no doubt you've probably heard a whole heap of different ones. Why I really like OKRs is that they are aligned to your vision and your purpose, and that they've actually got like a really clear and purposeful and meaningful goal setting framework that is broken down into really simple and executable steps. So I'm going to be looking up a little bit because I've got a couple of little notes here. But essentially, yeah, they are intentional goals that ensure that you are actually making progress towards your big, lofty vision. The O, which stands for objective, is all about the what and the why. So the objective within the OKRs is all about what you're working towards, what you want to achieve, and why it's important to you. And the objective is kind of like the inspiring, kind of like meaningful part to the goal. And I'll explain more about what this means. And then the KR, the key results, is all about those like tangible metrics, and like the achievable steps that you can actually take to achieve the objective. So I'll explain more about what that means in a second. Firstly, I want to share a little bit more about like why I actually really like them and who out there is using them. So Google has been using OKRs for ages. I think they were one of the first companies to take them on board. LinkedIn has been using them religiously for years. And obviously, I don't need to explain the massive success and results that these companies have been having. Netflix also used them. And what the research shows is that people who use OKRs have a 75% higher execution rate on achieving their goals and their strategy than those who don't use OKRs. How they help you? First of all, they create alignment. They create alignment on your vision and your high-level goals that you're working towards, and they make sure that everyone in the team is actually on the same page towards where you're heading. They create epic focus, so they make you really choose and prioritize and focus on what matters most. Because let's be honest, there's a million different things that we could do. OKRs are a really great system for actually choosing and deciding what's actually going to have the greatest impact, like what matters most at the end of the day in actually moving you forward towards your vision. They also create accountability. So the way that they're set up, particularly the key results component, which I'll explain more in a second, but the way that they're set up creates a really awesome form of holding people accountable, because there's no fluffy stuff in them. There's no kind of like, vague, ambiguous language in them that, people could kind of say, no, I have achieved it, or have I? I'm not, like, there's no unclear thinking in there. They're really, really specific around that. And they've got a tracking system, so they help you actually track your progress towards them. They create a whole heap of clarity. So they're basically like a vaccine against fuzzy, unclear thinking. And they've got a great sense of executability. So it's really about turning what is like, can sometimes be fluffy and lofty and high level, like the vision, which is all like inspiring and big picture. It's about turning the mission into executable milestones. And for any of my, my practicalists out there, or those who, just love a checklist and love getting things done, or really practical and analytical, you will just froth on OKRs. How they're different to KPIs, because you've probably heard of KPIs, which stands for Key Performance Indicator. They're similar in some ways, like in terms of the key results component, because KPIs are about like having indicators of what performance looks like, that's like metric focused. But how OKRs are different is OKRs are very intentional, meaningful, and aligned to the vision. So they would change at different times in your business depending on what your goals are. Whereas KPIs often tend to almost be like business as usual. You know, they might be the things that you're just tracking all the time to kind of keep an eye on how things are progressing within your business, like within sales or marketing or whatever. OKRs are really, really good when you've got a specific goal that you're working towards and you set up your tracking system aligned to that goal. So it's all very aligned and very intentional. And yeah, basically like they marry the lofty sky high mission with the on the ground realities, right? They're kind of like that connector. And basically we've, you know, at the end of the day, we've got a certain amount of resources in our team and we've got a certain amount of time in our day and we've got a certain amount of energy. And OKRs ensure that we're using those things, that we're using our team, that we're using our time, that we're using our energy in the most efficient, aligned, and powerful way possible. And that we're actually focusing on the things that matter the most. So at a high level, I'm just going to share with you what the high level process looks like. And then in a separate training video, I'm going to take you through what the actual process looks like. So high level, what you do need in place before you can craft OKRs, you need to know what your vision is. You need to know what that high level vision or mission or future state is that you're working towards, because that becomes our guiding North Star. That becomes that kind of that high level future world that we're working towards. And we need that in place in order to then work backwards and to decide what milestones we need to achieve in order to achieve that mission. So that's the first step. You need to know what your vision is. If you don't know that piece, come and chat to me and we can sort that bit out. Otherwise, if you've got that in place, then the second step is defining what your high level milestones are or your high level objectives are, to use the language of OKRs. And that's deciding what matters most and what's going to be most important to move us towards our vision. What are some of those like big goals that are actually definitely going to move us forward towards our vision? So that's about choosing the objectives, the O to the OKR. And then the third step is just deciding what the KRs are, which is usually the trickiest part, because it's about cascading down the vision or the mission to the objectives to the key results. So there's 3 key steps there. So that's the high level process in a nutshell. In a separate video, I'm going to take you through how to actually create an OKR. And I would encourage you to play along at home and have a go at creating one for yourself that you think is really important.